see, they didn't include
Call the meeting to
who
order.
they sent it to in the one that I got.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. And ladies. We do have to add an executive session to the agenda. Is there anything else that anybody knows we need to add? I'll entertain a motion to add that executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Open public comment, items are not on the agenda. You gentlemen have anything to say that's not gonna be addressed later? Okay. Minute approval, December 20th, from the table.
I move that we table these till the next meeting, please.
Okay. And then we just January 5th.
Can't you really see
Hmm?
the
You were
January?
absent.
I wasn't here, so.
All right, so we need,
I move that we defer the January 3rd minutes.
okay. Warrant,
Alrighty. I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 14T, accounts payable, $1,740,405.83. And that includes our second installment of school payments. 1S payroll, $7,455.05. And 2S payroll, $8,099.62.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye, motion carries. Town admin report?
On Wednesday, January 4th, the remainder of the 5 years of opioid settlement payments have been received in the amount of $4,376.37. They accelerated that process. The annual report is 95% complete with the exception of the school portion. I made a copy for everybody. There are a couple areas that are in gray, a couple reports that I'm still waiting on. Feel free to review and give me any feedback if you'd like to see something added or different. I've drafted the warning for town meeting in March for a review during the next budget meeting. An invitation was received from the Wyndham County Sheriff Office for a hybrid meeting on regional policing. The meeting is going to be held February 9th at 10 a.m., 10 to 12. This is going to be held at the Vermont EMS Academy or via Zoom. I made copies of the invitation if anyone would like to attend.
Just because I'm geographically challenged, the EMS Academy
In
is
Brattleboro, I'm
up
sorry.
at the old Vermont Yankee offices,
Yes.
where the
I guess
sheriff's
so.
offices
This
are.
says Newfane.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought it was up there.
I'll have to look at
okay, if you could find out, well, I probably will go by Zoom, but if
Yeah.
I have a
that. I think I
chance,
made everyone an invitation. Copy of it.
I don't think that it's at the sheriff's department because they do have that as Ferry Road. Whatever
Yeah,
this
it is
Vermont
Ferry Road.
EMS Academy is.
maybe the old rescue, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. And that's all I have for now.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Sir?
may I ask that we take Senator Hashim out of order and allow him to go first, as I know he must have many other places to be this evening too.
Senator Hashim, you're on.
Hey, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate moving up the list like that. Thank you. And again, thank you all for giving me the chance to come down and join the Vernon Selectboard meeting. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I'm up in Montpelier today. And just a quick warning, it's even though it's after hours, it's still a busy place, so I apologize if anyone is, if if any other legislators are entering the committee room. But, you know, I'm spending this time, I've been going around to a lot of different towns over the last several months, some in person, some in Zoom, just to hear from select boards and just so that you folks can put a face to the name as to who one of the senators are for Wyndham County. And, you know, creating this space and some time for you folks to share any concerns or thoughts or any issues that you want me to carry with me as we get started this session. You know, we're only on week 3 at the moment, and, you know, week 1 is really just largely ceremonial, and week 2 is when we start kind of getting the debriefing on where things stand in different committees of jurisdiction, and kind of just getting a crash course on how those different sectors work. So I've been assigned to the Judiciary Committee, where I'm Vice Chair, and that's my morning committee. And in the afternoon, I'm on the Education Committee, which, you know, I'm very fortunate. Both of those committees were my first choice, so I'm very glad to have some time to work in both of those committees. So, if I'll open it up to you folks if you have any thoughts or things that you want to share with me as we get started in Montpelier, or if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Only a couple tonight, Senator, because we'll see you over the course of your term. And congratulations on your election, Senator, as well. There are 2 issues that I find to be most vexing, I guess, both as a family person that has and living in rural. Transportation, public transportation, or methods of transportation for people that are not living in the central core of an area, be it Brattleboro or Burlington or whatever. Once you get off a hard fixed route system, trying to put together a demand response system for non-medical, non-elderly, just people who need to get to work that may not drive, and it is an issue. The transportation, it's hard, it's expensive, but something really needs to, there's a lot more rural areas in the state of Vermont than there are urban areas. And that's something that really needs to be looked at. The other issue that I bring forward is that of infrastructure repairs in smaller communities. The state's been really good about grant money and giving us things to do that, and ARPA money's gonna help too. But oftentimes there's a match involved, and if it's a big project, if you got a couple $100,000 or $1 million project, and you gotta come up with a 25 or a 30% match, some of these small communities just can't come up with that kind of scratch. Vernon is lucky because they've stewarded their money well over the years and is in better shape than some towns. But a lot of smaller communities can't, even when there's good programs out there, they can't afford to take advantage of them. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I'm just writing down notes here, that's why I'm looking downwards. So, yeah, thank you for those points. The transportation is definitely one that I've heard a lot about, and there was actually another senator in this room who's an expert on transportation, but she stepped out for a while. So, you know, I can definitely look more into that and see where we're going to be investing money in the transportation sector, especially for more rural areas. You know, that's generally not something that I'm going to see directly in judiciary or education, right. But I can still reach out to other senators who are on the transportation committee to get some more information to see how we can help out those rural communities. And, you know, I live in Dummerston and, you know, in quiet dirt road, and so I hear where you're coming from regarding that.
Thank you, Senator.
Shelley, do you have anything?
Thank you. Any other folks that want to share anything?
That's anything from the audience? No, so far we're very pleased with you.
Well, thank you. But it's only week 3.
Thank you.
If you want, I can, if there's no other questions, I can share what some of the priorities and issues are that we're starting to talk about in judiciary and education. It should only take maybe 2 minutes,
That would be
and
wonderful.
then maybe there might be some questions, but, does that sound good?
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Great, so in judiciary, we're looking at a few different areas. The background that I bring to judiciary is, I served about 7.5 years in law enforcement out of the Brattleboro barracks and then the Westminster barracks, currently working at a law firm in Brattleboro. And, the knowledge that I'm trying to bring is really focused on the intersection of mental health and the criminal justice system, as well as also addressing the opioid crisis. And, one of the biggest challenges that we're also facing in, that the judiciary branch itself is facing is just a huge staffing shortage, as well as a very significant backlog in cases. For example, there's a DUI that I investigated in 2017 that still hasn't come to trial, and that's a misdemeanor. So there are a lot of cases that are starting to get dismissed because people's right to a speedy trial is not being guaranteed in our court system, and that's a huge red flag. So this is something that we're going to try working with the Economic Development Committee to figure out how to address the workforce shortage, because it's also for every sector. It's not just the judiciary. We see it with teachers, nurses, people who work in the trades as well. And in education, we are. So I'll start off by telling you that of the 5 senators on the Education Committee, 4 of us are new to the Senate. So thankfully we have a chair who is very sharp and dynamic, and he's really taking us through the debriefing of learning about the Vermont education system. Everything from funding, school governance, and everything that we need to know in order to make informed decisions. Some of the priorities that I've voiced along with the rest of the committee has to do with school construction, universal school meals, test scores, which have been trending downward over the last around a decade or so, which was exacerbated by COVID, personnel and staffing issues as well, and post-COVID recovery and mental health for kids, because it's, these last 3 years have taken a huge toll on children who are going through our school systems. So those are some of our priorities. We're starting to get into the steps or the phase where committee members are voicing what their priorities are, and the committee as a body is starting to figure out what direction it's going to go in to work on different pieces of legislation. And also I'll just mention that if any folks want to get in touch with me about any of these issues, after this meeting, I can put my email in the chat. My public legislative email is also available on the Vermont Legislature website. And, of course, please feel free to reach out to me. It might take a day or two for me to get back. I'm usually getting around 50 emails a day, but I do try to get back to every single person who sends me an email. And yeah, I'll leave it at that if there are any questions that might have arisen over the last few minutes.
Anything?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator.
Okay, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care.
You too. David, we skipped over you. You want to?
Okay, so we'll go back to quarterly report. Everything's been going good down at the shop. Now if I can get this out. Bring you up to date, it's actually in the town report. Back in November 2021, I put in for a grant for Ram jumping jack compactor. Well, we awarded it back in October of this year, and we just took delivery of it.
Oh, excellent.
Great, congratulations.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
Truck bid now.
Much fun.
We received 2 bids on the pickup.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was a gas job and not a diesel.
Oh.
Is that where the spec issue was? Okay, I
Yep.
didn't go, okay.
Yep, yep.
Oh, these are diesel, okay.
And depending if we use ARPA money or if we'll have to wait and put more in, because they didn't know what our, not warranties, discounts at the time of delivery would be.
Okay, so it may be less?
Oh, yep, but it depends what they can give us,
Right, no, that's fine,
depending what the municipality is allowed at the time.
okay,
That's the hard part.
yeah. Where is the K out of?
Newport.
Newport, okay.
Actually, I sent out 9.
Mm-hmm.
McGovern down in Greenfield, which doesn't go to Greenfield because it's a municipality, it goes Norwood, Mass, maybe?
That's where their headquarters
So,
probably is,
yeah. There's a lot of them that I thought I was reaching out to that might be local. You end up going
Yeah,
further.
yeah.
So, but I was trying to get the best deal too.
What, in your recommendation?
If we're gonna do it, I'd go with Automall.
Okay.
You want the diesel, right?
Yep.
On Automals, the last page of Automals, it has a total cash allowance twice. It expires, it's already expired.
Yep, then the total bid, but in between, to be determined at delivery
Okay,
for the discounts.
all right. Okay, board, what is your pleasure?
I move that we, accept the bid of Automall for the 2023 Chevy Silverado.
And pay for it through ARPA funds? It's,
So this is already all priced out in the capital plan.
Yep,
We just mean
there's-
that money
there's-
would go,
50,000 in there, which that money would sit there.
right,
Could you use both?
some of both.
Yeah.
I don't see why not, yeah.
See what it comes in at and with the discounts and,
Well, yeah, I'd rather spend more, after the discounts, instead of splitting it in half, I'd like to spend more of their money than.
okay, our money.
It's all ours, but at least ours,
It stays there.
it's state, yeah, it's
Yep.
local.
Yep.
But,
Okay.
so could I ask to amend your motion?
Absolutely.
Did I second it?
You didn't second it
Oh.
yet.
Well, I'll second it, now I have an amendment.
No.
So with the 66, as is to Auto Mall, funding of which $40,000 to come from ARPA money and the remaining balance to come from the capital outlay funds.
Is there a second to that amendment?
40,000 from
ARPA.
ARPA and balance.
Whatever the balance is from the,
from second.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment?
aye,
Aye.
Aye. No, all those in favor of the amended motion?
aye,
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
thank you, David.
David?
You got certification of mileage?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of people. We have a certificate of highway mileage. Has this changed from last time?
Nope, it's identical.
So am I the legal trail or the class 4?
Yours is a legal trail.
You can find
Then we can, the open space recreation grant, since they're gonna be putting all kinds of rec in, they can fix the road. I got it done.
He's happy now.
Talk with the state too.
Yeah.
Happy now.
it. Okay. I'll entertain the motion to sign the certificate of highway mileage.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Sorry.
Motion carries.
Who needs to sign that?
All of us,
All of you.
and there's two of them. There you go.
Thank you. Do you have enough lines? Yeah, we'll make it.
David, there's been some concern about the plowing at the fire station. Is it possible for you to plow it around the side? To push it? Yeah, to push it, yeah. Let's see if we can do this, push it around the side.
There's a well right there.
Okay, so you can't push it down.
No. You got the flagpole right here. Who's complaining on this?
No, just in the future. Is it possible just to get by the door?
Yep.
Thanks.
That might be
Oh, okay. Well, that's how they learn.
Yep.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep. That's it.
Okay.
Were you right?
Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
No?
Yep, no, you're, I was just making sure, so Tim can file it and everything.
Oh,
Can we go back to the ways and
And if you can give me a copy of
so
everything.
Mr. Lyon, we thank you so much for your patience, and you are up. Don't be-
Thanks for having me, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Oh,
Good. I feel like I need to apologize because for all the documents that I sent over to you, that was a lot. And I don't know if you had enough time to really kind of read through all of them, formulate some questions. But I just thought I'd start by apologizing for putting so much information in front of you. But, you know, we've put a lot of work into this engagement, and I still think that there's work to be done. But I'm excited to get some of your time to, you know, kind of talk through some of the questions that Tom, Shelley, and I have had over the past week or two.
Okay,
Excellent. Tom, is there anywhere that you want to start? Do you want to like review anything in detail, or do you just want to kind of open it up for questions?
Well, I have one specific question, but prior to that, if I, Madam Chair, I want to thank you and the company. We had a miscommunication at the beginning. We had a good meeting, and you have more than exceeded the amount of additional work that would have been expected. So I know you've got way more into this in your billing, and it's, just so you know, it's noticed and appreciated.
Well, as we kind of talked about before, it's really important to me to make sure that we're delivering products that really are the best use of our clients. And, you know, I just want to make sure that, you know, this is really important work, and it's really, a really important topic that impacts the employees of the town of Vernon. And I'm going to give it 150%, and I'll keep going until we get it right for the town of Vernon.
My biggest question, and then we can get into, I still do not understand. And maybe just because of how I've been taught to be a manager, I guess. I don't understand the 2-year gap between steps to get to 10 steps over 20 years. I've always worked on a 7 to 10 step plan annually,
Yeah.
and then a longevity type thing at the end of that in 5-year increments. I don't understand, it's not bad, I just don't get it.
Yeah, the way you're describing it, Tom, to be quite honest, is the more common practice where people spend 1 year at a step and then they proceed to the next step. The only reason why I kind of suggested maybe considering spending 2 years at a step is your folks are going to move along the steps at a pretty quick cadence, and they're all going to probably hit that max pretty quickly if they're going from one step to the next, even using a 10-step model. I'm completely open to it, and I think we can certainly make it work. And I'm open to, you know, the feedback from the select board of, you know, what you think would work best for the town of Vernon. I just wanted to give you an option, Tom, to, kind of think about and consider.
Yep, thank you for that. I just, it's new to me, that's all.
Sure.
Well, we had been at 5 years, so.
Yeah,
This looks-
and it's just how,
No,
yeah, it's just
5
how you
years is
wanna look
long.
at stuff. I just see,
Long, long.
if you do it annually, per your annual review, okay, as opposed to something special in the middle, it's gonna be 20 years before somebody reaches what I would consider to be proficient in their job. Okay, and that, and I think that it probably is like even 7 to 8 years has been the norm for stuff like that. And then you give, I'm fine with it, I just think it takes too long for an employee to be able to get to where he or she should be.
Sure, yeah. And the common practice is typically a fully proficient person in their role is when they're hitting kind of that midpoint of their competitive salary range. So, oftentimes that's why you would see new hires kind of starting off, lower in their salary grade. But usually when they get to that 50th percentile is when they should be able to fully demonstrate
Right.
that they're like fully competent in their role at that point in time. And that's why like that 50th percentile, that's kind of the middle of the range. So, that's why the employee should be getting paid what they're getting paid.
Okay,
And
it's
with-
just different.
With that explanation, it would seem in 5 years that somebody should hit that proficiency for sure.
Which
you
is
know?
why we always figured, we had 10, we went to 9.
Well, he's saying midway
Yeah.
would be 5 years if you were doing the annual steps.
Right,
Right?
right.
Am I good now?
Yeah, if you did them annually, correct.
Which that seems like that's what you would expect.
This is fine, it's just new to me, that's all. But that was my only in-depth question,
Got it.
well, for now.
Well, one of the topics that Shelley and I talked about is January 1st of this year of 2023, the state of Vermont increased their minimum wage. And we did notice that there was some positions, not a lot, but a couple positions that kind of fell below that that minimum wage. So, one of the topics I wanted to bring up to the select board is this an opportunity to kind of make that correction and get anybody that's below the Vermont minimum wage up to that Vermont standard? It's not mandatory, but it's just, I'm just kind of tossing it out there as an option for you to think about.
We do that. We automatically do that when.
Oh, do you? Okay.
When minimum wage increases, so does anybody else do their minimum wage?
Got it, okay.
Thank you.
So we should change these two to the minimum wage?
That's what we're waiting to find out how the select board wants to do that. Yes, any jobs that salaries below minimum wage should be adjusted accordingly.
And I'm gonna sound like a true liberal, but I'm really not. It seems to me that the tenure of some of our department heads, rec, library, public highway department, yeah, I'm trying. While they are falling for the most part in the plan, okay?
Sure.
If the minimum is 51 and employee Y is making 54, they're like on step 3, let's call it, but they've been here 10 years. So I don't know if we need to, similarly to the minimum wage issue, look over a 2-year period to bring those folks up to where they probably should be in the market.
I would agree with you, Tom. And it's placement within a salary range. There's a lot of variables that need to be taken into consideration. I think one of those variables is tenure within an organization. In the compensation report that I provided, you'll see in the commentary that I did call out that there were a handful of folks that, in my outside perspective, kind of suggested that a deeper dive happen to determine where might be a better placement based on their tenure with the organization. It's hard for me to make recommendations of exactly what that number should be or where they should be because I don't know these individuals. I don't have any history of their performance. I'm certainly happy to volunteer my services to potentially sit with your treasurer and sit with Shelley to, maybe kind of take a look at those and we can collectively make some recommendations for you folks to react to, if that's something that you're interested in.
Yeah, I just think like the rec director doesn't just schedule, and set up. I mean, they're doing some pretty heavy manual labor as well, so they have to be multi-talented. So, yeah, I didn't see it. Do you provide, or is this something we would do extra? When we do an annual review to see if someone is going to move from, or the town administrator would do it, from step A to step B, the select board with the elected officials, if that's the way it needs to be, but, do you have a criteria, a grading system available for that we could
We do.
contract
But
separately
I've
maybe?
with some other clients that I can certainly, maybe sit with Shelley and make some recommendations of what that might kind of look like.
Okay, thank
It
you.
doesn't have to be anything overly complicated because, you could still follow your similar performance review process, and if somebody's meets expectations, then they qualify to, move up to the
Right.
next step. If somebody's not meeting expectations or they're below expectations, then I would suggest that, holding that into your process that person would not actually get a step increase that particular year.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Jane?
It's just a different experience than I've had.
Yes, definitely.
It always just went on years, didn't matter how you did your job.
Yeah,
You didn't get anything for a good review.
no,
You just waited out your years until you could take a step.
yeah,
So this is
this is much better.
very different.
5 years in one step is a very long time.
Yes, it is. It truly is.
Okay, what's the board's pleasure?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we wanna look at. I have some other questions, I'm looking at yours, the holiday stuff and the health insurance stuff, and that's just stuff that's existing, that's factual that we do now.
Yeah.
It is, and the observation was, I think your benefits are, I would consider them to be at market and in some cases above market, based on the data. And you'll see in the latter part of that particular report, what the town of Vernon is currently offering and how that compares to other
Yep.
Vermont organizations. They're not all municipalities, but you can kind of see how you're kind of comparing to other Vermont businesses.
Yep.
And in my opinion, I think you're doing really well from
Yep.
a benefits perspective.
Yeah, the benefits here are pretty good.
And this is why I feel guilty. It was like 3 very long reports that I gave you to kind of review in a short period of time, so.
Well, I said to the chair on my way in this morning, I used a whole pencil on it, so we're good.
So should we have you and Shelley meet with him to tweak it some more?
Sure.
And then we're gonna vote.
Yeah, I think this is excellent, and thank you very much. So,
My pleasure. In the, I can still do some work on the step grade model if you folks feel more comfortable having employees advance a step every year. I can certainly kind of adjust the document that I provided to you. We can certainly do that.
yeah, and the other thing I'd recommend on that is bring it down from 3% between the steps to 2.5% between the steps, because if you're given a COLA and a step, that can get pretty expensive pretty fast. So if we brought the steps down a little bit, and that's the other thing, with the 10-step, you're doing it for 10 times instead of 20, you know, before they max out. And so, for the cost saving side of it, you're better off on the other end, but, yeah, that's it, that's all.
Should we, what do you think about making a motion to bring the, up to the minimum wage?
Yeah, but the treasurer said she already does that.
But she's waiting to hear from us, because
Okay,
if you look at page 7, the compensation administration, you know, if we went to 1075 on some, and if the minimum wage is 1318, that needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
Anybody that's currently working here, no one's making under minimum wage.
No one is,
No one.
okay. All right, so we don't need to make anything, but I would like to see those figures adjusted.
yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah, in the report, if we could adjust the figures back up to minimum, what the actual folks are making versus the minimum wage, cause we're, it would be accurate.
So if you just get together with Shelley and Mr.
Yeah, well, I think we do need to vote though on, so he knows, so, the company has direction, Dan's got direction on whether we're gonna do a 20 or a 10 or an 8 or a 6 or a 4.
Someone needs to make a motion.
What, the grades?
The number of grades,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
not what the, not the grades,
No,
but the
the
steps.
steps.
The steps,
The steps, that's what I meant.
right, not the grades, the
Yeah, the
steps.
steps, yeah.
So, I'll make a motion that we adopt a 10-step plan moving forward and ask that, Mr. Lyons, adjust the, wage and classification to recognize that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, Tom?
Aye,
Aye.
I'm an aye. The motion carries.
we're actually getting this done, I'm thrilled.
Okay.
This is good stuff.
All right.
Long time meeting.
Mr. Lyons, I think we're done.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
sir.
Well, you folks know how to contact me, so enjoy your evening and thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Amended Vermont Rural Fire Protection Program Agreement.
I have to find.
Me too.
I don't understand what this is.
So this is for the dry hydrant. I do believe that
Oh.
that the prices on materials has increased, so they are
Yeah, we have to
amending
do tonight,
the
too.
original contract. We have 2 copies,
Okay.
an original for us and one for the program.
Total project cost of $5505.64. And Vermont Association of Conservation Districts will increase its contribution to $4,129. Do I have a motion to sign this document?
Have you all moved on to something else?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're done?
Yes,
With
ma'am.
the wage issue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So do we have a motion to,
And they have the money for the the match, right? 'Cause
I believe so.
that's at the fire pond.
Yeah, yes.
Well,
it
that's
is.
maintenance, but
All right, so I will move that we approve and sign the Vermont Rural Fire Protection Program Amendment 1.
second,
all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Do you want to type in the name and date?
I'll do that.
we have a cemetery deed. For Stephen Moore, for lot 520 entitled cemetery. So,
Move to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
And an aye. Thank you. Sir? Okay, Friends of Vernon Center, you are up.
Okay. Well, I passed out to you earlier the proposal that we made back in August, and I gave you an extensive presentation then. And then you had another hearing meeting, I guess was that in October at the school? Thereabouts, and I pitched the idea again. And so now it's January, and we are hoping really to get an awful lot of work done this summer, both under this grant and under the federal grant that we have. We're still working on paperwork and qualification issues with the federal grant. I mean, there's no issues, but it's just the wheels grind very slowly. Right now, it's stuck in an office in Montpelier, and I'm having a conference call with them on Friday to see if we can move that along. But you know, the point is that it's January, and in order to line up contractors for work to be done this summer, we really should be trying to get out to bid now. So that's why really I'm here to ask that you approve this request. As presented, it's for $115,000 from the ARPA funds, and it would include the kitchen upgrade for $35,000, bathroom work for $15,000, an outdoor performance space for $30,000, flooring replacement for $15,000, and furnishings and equipment of various kinds for $20,000. These things could very well, obviously, be different in cost, so we would ask for your indulgence to be able to, swap money back and forth between these things as might be needed. And the one question mark is this outdoor performance space, which we think would be, a really nice addition to the project, and a great thing for the town to have. But there may be some archaeological concerns with regard to that's what's hanging it up right now at the state level. So if that turns into a huge issue where we've got to do all kinds of expensive archaeological investigations, then we may just put that off. And we could either come back to you and ask you, can we redirect that $30,000 to something else, or can we hold it for a year or two? You've got a long time to spend this ARPA money. So that's the only kind of question mark on this. But with those kind of provisos, I would ask for your approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Jean? Do you have any
I don't
questions?
have any questions.
By the way, Jean's on our board.
I am on the board, so
And
I
Ken
know
is
this.
here, is on
very
our
much.
board, and Arlene is on our board. If you don't know Arlene Palmer, she's relatively new to town. There she is. And Ken has done a lot of work for us on designing this kitchen. And we have Sandra Rulowich, who is there. We can't see her, but she's there. And Tom Rappaport. And who is that? There's
Brian
Sandra.
and Beth Armington.
Hmm?
Brian and Beth
Oh,
Armington.
Brian Armington, who's also relatively new to town, and
Beth.
Beth, who you know because she works in the library. So,
She's on board.
so a pretty good chunk of our board is here as well.
Okay, Tom?
How much is our ARPA money? 639,000, is that right?
That's, yep, I think that's about analogous for this point. Close to it.
Okay, I have nothing to say.
This obviously meets the requirements, it's definitely good for the town and businesses. I'll entertain a motion to approve the request.
I'm on the board, it's
On the
not
board,
hard
so
if I
it's
may.
really-
What's that?
Yeah, because you're going.
There's no financial gain.
No, you can do
Okay.
this.
I move that we approve the Friends of Vernon Center request for ARPA funds in the amount of $115,000 for further development and rehab of the Governor Hunt House Community Center.
In a second? I'll second it. All those in favor, say aye.
Discussion?
Discussion, sorry about that, sorry about that.
I don't wanna come off as being opposed to the project. That's not my point. I think it's wonderful, and I think everything you're doing there is wonderful, and it's gonna be a great benefit to the town. I do have a problem with spending that amount on a percentage basis of our ARPA money on non-municipal projects. That's, I think it should be, I know what the law says, but we've got so much in the queue in our capital stuff and other things that I think we should fund some of it, but I don't think we should fund it to this level. And I'm going to vote no. At this level.
Could I just make one remark about that? I mean, I understand the concern, but to call, and it, obviously, it's a nonprofit organization, it is not a municipal project. But it could very well have been a municipal project. The Entergy came to the town and offered this property to the town. And that had been something that, it didn't just come out of the blue, it had been something that Entergy, for the whole time that they were here, had essentially promised that whenever they would shut down the plant, everybody knew the plant would shut down someday, that the Governor Hunt House would be given to the town. And, the only reason that we're here is that the town essentially said, this organization already existed for other purposes. And the town said, would you take this on? I think that was a good thing to do because, it has allowed us to fundraise in other ways, including the federal grant that the town probably would not have been able to do. And it enabled us to put a really good board and team of volunteers together who could move this along. But it's a facility for the town of Vernon. We are doing this for the town of Vernon.
I understand that, but I'm looking at, the seniors came in, talking about a new kitchen down here. The renovations in this lower level are gonna need to be done. I'm not saying this isn't top of the list priority, I don't want people to misunderstand me. But I do think we need to be able to spread this around a little bit more to things that need to be done as well. I'm willing to put up, I'm willing to go, 65, 75,000, but I'm not willing to go to almost 12% of our take, even more than that. Almost 18% of I'm not willing to do that. And it's not, I think it's a great project, and I don't wanna come off as not being supportive, but I think there's other uses for the money as well, not better.
Well, and I would also suggest that some of the things that, you may have in mind for this building, for the seniors, and I mentioned this back at the October meeting, the seniors are absolutely once this kitchen is built, seniors are absolutely welcome
I understand.
to do this. The thing that this will enable us to do is to say to any organization in town, any town board, any group in town, you know, use these facilities because the town has invested in them.
And they can't use this building. Members of the town cannot use this building. You have to be connected to a town department to be
Right.
able to have things going on. So
I
for the community, there's no other place for them to go.
I understand that, and I'm willing, look, you know, I'm gonna get outvoted here, and that's okay.
No, you're not, because we have to have.
We don't, we can't do
Oh.
it.
I mean, this building was put up in the early '70s,
Mhm.
and it's got my father's paneling all over it. And, you know, things need to be done here. I just think it's too much.
Okay, we'll call for the vote anyway, because we have a motion
Well,
and a
I
second.
can,
Yeah,
any
go
further
ahead.
discussion?
Mhm.
Would you go for a smaller amount at this point, and as we progress through deciding what the ARPA money's gonna go for, reapproach if there were?
Yeah, I mean, as I just said, the outdoor performance area is kind of a question mark and might create hassles for us. So if you subtracted that from it, you would be at, what would you be at?
85.
85,000. So, you know, I would suggest you consider 85,000 if you want to have a reduced amount. I hate to give up on that, but we can, you know, we can try raising that money from other sources.
And Martin has worked tirelessly for the grants and the money that's
Yes.
come in down there. It's been
Yeah,
amazing.
and perhaps the entertainment venue could be put into the recreation master plan,
Certainly.
okay? You know, there's another way to get that funded.
And that comes to light as we discuss it.
Yeah, I'll go 85,000.
So can, do you want to amend it to 85, or do you want to put it down in fresh motion? You can amend it.
I can amend my
You can
own
amend your motion.
motion, okay, I move to amend my motion to $85,000.
Second.
Okay.
So any further discussion? So we're going to, yes,
Can you take a comment from the board?
of course we can.
I would only like to see if it's possible in that amendment to include that possibly the reduced amount be added to a recreation budget later? Or no, you can't put that in the amendment?
You could, I wouldn't vote it.
That's not really
Okay.
a
But
But it'll be
decision
in the
for us
minutes
right
of the
now.
meeting?
And
Yeah.
Shelley has it on her.
It'll be
Okay.
just in the discussion, yeah.
It'll be on the recording as well.
Thanks.
All those in favor? John?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And 85.
Thank you, I applaud you.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for
I'll
all
look
your
with
hard
Shelley
work.
on the particulars of, you know, how to submit claims or
Thank you.
requisitions or however that works.
I just think it's too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, compensatory time policy.
This, and council's all set with this from our last meeting.
Yes.
So, the policy is, I think, fine. We've had a lot of time to look at it. We need to fund it,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah.
And I recommend that we put, create a new line item or add it to various departments lines that may go through this, of $8,000 for, what I would call compensated absences. I don't know what else you'd call it,
8,000 per department or 8,000
for the whole,
Town employees.
right. What we did, we looked at the employees that have the most impact on this. We took the maximum, Shelley actually did the calculations, looked at their gross over 160 hours, that's the max. So we wanted to be sure that was covered, and that came to 7,000 and some change. And we rounded it up in case there was some, not odd thing, but something happened during the course of the year where somebody opted to do that.
So should we have a separate line item or put it in the budget?
Oh, it should just be, it should be under the selectmen's budget.
So we'd have to raise it every year?
Yeah. Well, you could put it in a fund.
And once it's
I
raised,
love
it's
funds
raised.
though, because they don't disappear.
Right.
But it doesn't give you any yeah, they're great. They're the best,
There shouldn't be any
they're
flexibility.
wonderful.
If that's what the money's for.
They're wonderful. You could set up a fund, and put $10,000 in the fund, and if it isn't used, then you don't have to spend it, and if only some of it's used, you only have to supplement it.
See how nice that works?
It's the same thing,
No.
but it really is.
Well, no,
but-
because we're only raising it, suppose the taxes this year were like 50 cents, and next year we'd have to raise it at $100. So we only have to,
Well, not, yes, unless your
in-
values are keeping, okay.
And once the fiscal year ended though, it's gone.
It's gone, right, but so
So
is,
then you're starting to.
and so are they.
So are
Because
they who they?
your hours, they have to be used if you, in a certain amount of time.
Right, but it just could be a year that maybe there wasn't much use and then next year there is a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
if
demand.
if we wanna make it a fund, it's fine and dandy with me. If that'll fund it, it's good.
I don't like the money disappearing.
as much as raised, I like it.
It just goes into your investment, well, don't wanna put anything in the investments, that's for sure, but,
Mine did pretty good. Mine did
good, yeah, that's fine. And to establish have the treasurer establish a fund,
The town has to establish.
I understand, right, it has to go to town. So that's a separate article.
Mhm. 2 articles.
It won't pass. Yes, it will, but, no, it really is a budget issue, it's real, but that's fine, we can do it as a fund. We'll do
It's
two.
killing them though.
I know.
I hate them.
That's why we like it. Okay, so.
This is my punishment for the last vote, right? Yeah, I got it.
That's right. Okay, so do we have a motion to adopt this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, I guess.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
And an aye. Do you have the original for us to sign? Or did you give it to me?
Madam Chair,
I could send a copy.
Yeah.
I don't have it
I'll
here.
send it.
I have a question.
This way.
Okay, sir.
This is taking effect upon adoption, correct?
We did not say that. But it should be.
Yeah, so if we are taking it, and we should take it upon adoption, we've been working on this since what, October? So, we need to find some funding for this fiscal year.
Mhm.
But we can find it. We can find it. We'll just, I'll look through the budget and I'll see if there's a place to take it from.
Okay. Jim, are you here for something special?
I'm relatively new to this committee stuff and chairing committees. I just wanted to see how it's done by watching you guys.
That's the town policy.
All I'm doing is
The ones that-
watching and learning.
Oh, we're glad you're here. Next on the agenda is an executive session on personnel. Here you go.
Well, that's all right. Madam Chair, I move that we enter an executive session regarding the appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye, the motion carries. We're in executive session at 7:30. We went into executive session at 7:30, came out at 7:41, and no action was taken. Because we only have one thing to do at the budget meeting, we're going to postpone the budget meeting,
Oh,
so we won't even terminate.
okay.
But hold on to your stuff, because I'll forget it, but,
Yeah, sure. I'll do this.
so, our next,
You'll
Leave
print
it
me
right
up.
there, it'll be
You'll-
waiting for you.
You'll
Did
print
we
it one
sign
more
this?
time,
Did
right?
we sign the policy for you?
I have it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, yeah.
I don't know how much I signed.
I made copies of everything for everybody.
so our
So,
next regular meeting is the 7th.
okay, so
That's right. 'Cause
how
like
does this
we-
work in terms of getting all your budget information in the town report?
I'm just, waiting, and we have, well, I think we can pull it together in the next couple weeks,
Yeah.
because I don't think it's gonna take that long to get the wage and salaries survey.
No, I don't think so either. And there's a couple of things in the warrant I do want to discuss.
Mhm.
The two annual
Yeah,
articles, so.
Do we have a copy of the warrant that you did?
Yes, and put it right in your packet. I put notes on it too. There's
Mhm.
two
Budget
packets,
packet.
there's a budget.
Oh,
packet
the
attached.
budget one, okay.
Yeah.
you got it.
The budget one is
Yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah,
All right.
I need to update it.
Okay.
So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, we are adjourned at 7:44.